The war between Russia and Ukraine has entered an increasingly complex and bloody phase. Since the conflict erupted openly in February 2022, the world has witnessed how the Eastern European battlefield has transformed into a laboratory for modern warfare, where advanced military technology is tested under real-world conditions. One of the primary symbols of this escalation is the presence of Russia's main battle tank, the T-90M Proryev, which has now become the spearhead of Moscow's efforts to seize and defend strategic Ukrainian territories. Amidst international pressure, economic sanctions, and Western military support for Kyiv, Russia continues its operations across various fronts, ranging from Donetsk, Luhansk, and Zaporizhia to the eastern and southern regions of Ukraine. The T-90M tank is said to be the backbone of Russian ground forces in facing fierce Ukrainian resistance, which is now bolstered by Western weaponry such as HIMARS, Leopard 2 tanks, and Bradley fighting vehicles. The T-90M is the most modern variant of the T-90 tank family developed by Russia. This tank is equipped with active and passive protection systems, the latest generation of explosive reactive armor, and a digital fire control system that enables day and night operations. Compared to its predecessors, the T-90M possesses more precise firepower, more secure communication systems, and better protection against anti-tank missiles. According to various international media reports and military observers, Russia began deploying the T-90M intensively midway through the conflict, particularly after Moscow adjusted its strategy following initial battlefield losses. This tank is utilized not only as a frontline combat vehicle, but also as an infantry support tool in the seizure of cities and strategic territories, territorial conquest, and ground warfare. Eastern Ukraine has become the epicenter of the fiercest fighting. Cities that were previously industrial and logistical hubs have now turned into open battlefields. Russia utilizes its superiority in heavy artillery and armored vehicles to gradually pressure Ukrainian defenses. The T-90M tank is frequently used in combined operations alongside reconnaissance drones and long-range artillery. This attack pattern allows Russia to identify Ukrainian defensive positions, destroy them from a distance, and then push ground forces forward to seize the territory. Some reports mention that this approach has increasingly restricted the movement of Ukrainian troops, although resistance remains strong. However, the Ukrainian battlefield is never entirely in favor of one side. Ukraine, backed by Western intelligence, employs precision strike tactics, landmines, and modern anti-tank weaponry to stall the advance of Russian vehicles, including the T-90M. Several units have reportedly been damaged or destroyed, demonstrating that even the most advanced tanks are not invincible on the modern battlefield. The use of the T-90M is not only military in nature, but also carries psychological and political dimensions. For Russia, the presence of this tank serves as a symbol of the strength and resilience of its national defense industry amidst international sanctions. Each appearance of the T-90M on the battlefield is often utilized as a message that Russia still possesses high combat capacity. On the other hand, Ukraine and Western nations use the success of destroying or stalling the T-90M as evidence that Russian technological dominance is not absolute. Western media frequently highlight that this war demonstrates a paradigm shift, where inexpensive drones and precision weapons are capable of challenging heavy combat vehicles worth millions of dollars. Impact on civilians and regional stability. Behind the territorial disputes and military maneuvers, the humanitarian impact continues to grow. Cities targeted by ground operations have suffered severe infrastructure damage, disruptions to electricity and clean water, and millions of residents have been forced to flee. The presence of tanks and close-quarters combat exacerbates the risks for civilians trapped in conflict zones. The international community continues to call for a ceasefire, yet to date, the war shows no signs of ending. Every advancement on the battlefield is instead followed by new escalations, prolonging the suffering of civilians and deepening global geopolitical tensions. The Russia-Ukraine war has turned into a prolonged conflict that tests not only military strength, but also the political and humanitarian resilience of both nations. Russia's use of the T-90M tank has become a symbol of its efforts to maintain dominance on the ground, as well as evidence that modern warfare now combines high technology with conventional strategy. Ultimately, the Russia-Ukraine conflict is not merely a war over territory, but a much larger battle of geopolitical interests. For Russia, the military operation being carried out is not just about expansion, but about maintaining national security, regional stability, and the global balance of power which for decades has been seen as imbalanced due to Western dominance. The use of the T-90M tank and Russian ground forces reflects Moscow's seriousness in defending territories it considers strategic. Amidst the pressure of economic sanctions, political isolation, and negative narratives from Western media, Russia continues to demonstrate that its military is still capable of adapting, enduring, and even dominating certain battlefields. This serves as a signal that Russia is not a country that can be pressured solely by economic warfare or global opinion. Russia views this conflict as a form of resistance against NATO expansion that continues to approach its borders. From Moscow's perspective, Ukraine is not just a neighboring country, but an important part of the Eurasian security balance. When diplomatic channels were considered a dead end and the threat was deemed real, Russia chose to act first to safeguard its long-term strategic interests. On the battlefield, despite facing fierce resistance and advanced weaponry from the West, Russian forces continue to demonstrate resilience and adaptability. The presence of the T-90M tank is not only a symbol of military might, but also proof that the Russian defense industry is still functioning and developing amidst global pressure. Every secured territory becomes a strategic foothold to strengthen Russia's position in the eastern region of Ukraine.